It blows my mind the number of people that will fall away from you when you make a decision that you're going to go in with God all the way, right? All the way. One of the things it seemed to be pretty consistent is that when you decide that, okay, I'm going to be all in with my walk with God, one of the first things that happen is that God, it seems like persecution comes, like challenges come, and not necessarily from other people only, but just from the different trials of life. The Lord will begin to put you in a vice, is what it seemed like. Like you hear people testify how, as they in their walk with God, they say, "Hey," they make a decision, like I'm going to start getting closer to God. That things get a little bit tougher, and I'm sure you've heard that before. I'm I could think of two reasons why that might happen. I believe one of the reasons is that because he's beginning to make you more like him. And sometimes we pick up things along the way that is not good for us to keep or not good for us to have. And so, persecution and having those things that we've gathered, whether it's people or whether it's ideas or whatever, begin to fail us and become too heavy to carry to the point to where we're just going to drop them. I think it's a good thing. Uh, Let God just go ahead and have His way. Um, I, the second reason I believe that is because usually when you go through persecution, people begin to fall off. People begin to fall off. They just might don't want to deal with it. They don't want to take the time to help. They feel like you're a loser or whatever the situation might be because you begin to go through. But because many people don't have discernment, they don't know that God is taking you through a process. Because if they did understand that, I believe that they will stay, especially if they were God fearing people, they will stay and they'll pray with you and they will help you through it. At least they'll check on you every now and then and be like, hey, I just kind of got the sense that you were going through some tough times in life. Listen, I know God's going to bring you through. I just want you to know that I'm praying for you. And if you need me, just let me know. But I think I backed off a little bit because I just didn't want to, get in the way of what God was doing. I put any extra burdens on you because it looked like you just got some change. Anything. But people don't even do that a lot of times. So as the second reason I believe that God allows you to go through that so that those people who are not supposed to be around, they will just get pushed away. Because one thing about when you say you want to like really go higher and further into things of God, um, I don't see how you can get there without persecution. I believe persecution and just kind of having just enemies and things like that is part of the journey. And I'm not saying it's all pain, right? The Lord He always got people that He will send to you that will bless you, that will sow into your life, that will speak into your life and things like that. So I'm not saying that it's all pain, but pain definitely seemed to be part of the process. As a matter of fact, I don't know of any pastor or person in any significant position in ministry that can tell you the testimony of their journey, and that testimony don't include some measure of pain, some measure of loss of friends or something like that. But I believe what's important to the process is that when you decide, okay, let me say, don't avoid getting closer to God because you don't want to go through that. It's definitely not worth that. It's best to just go ahead and let God, make a decision that you're going to get closer in with God, and then just let whatever happens, happens, right? So don't avoid it um, just because of that. And the other thing is that it's important to understand that it is kind of lonely. The journey can get lonely sometimes, and you're going to go through, um, anxiety. Maybe you might go through. Some might go through depression and just or sadness or loneliness or whatever. But those that what's happening usually in that place is that the Lord is depriving the flesh of what it wants. And usually we'll turn to things, temporal things, to try to address that when we have those emotions. But now it's different, because when you say, I'm going to get closer to God, and these things come, you don't turn to temporal things to satisfy the flesh, to keep it from going through. Actually, uh, you're going through when you go through that process, you need to seek out real healing. And real healing it comes from what the Lord does with your spirit while you go through those things, and not yielding to the dictates of the flesh. And so when you it's best to go ahead and say the better life is good, is that I'm going to make a decision to get close to God. I'm going to draw in closer to God and just go for it. Get in your word, start praying, start seeking his face, right? Start chasing after him, and just rest assured your life is going to change. But here's something that's really, really cool, supernatural, and hard to explain, is that when you decide that you're going to do that, God comes into your life in a new way. And you can sense, you can feel in the spirit this exchange take place of when your idols and the things that you used to, consume and receive to prop you up superficially, to kind of get you through the day and things like that, those begin to get exchanged out for real supernatural healing. And they begin to get exchanged out for finding fulfillment in God's presence. And they begin to get exchanged out for, the greater things that God actually has for you, that maybe you wasn't getting before you decided that you was going to get closer to God. And so God's taking you through this exchange. And here's what's beautiful about it, is that when you allow yourself to go through this process, uh, it actually is so much deliverance in it. If you will endure the pain, and God will give you the grace to endure the pain, once he bring you to the other side, it's so much deliverance in it. It's so much healing in it. And then the Lord will open your eyes. And sometimes we think our eyes are open, but our eyes are really not open until we allow God to supernaturally open our eyes. But your eyes begin to open, and I can't explain it, but God will show you kind of how things really are, so to speak. I know that sounds weird, but because and the way you got that, and this is real deep, so check this out. The way you got that is that the things of the world that you used to turn to and look to, it begins to become tasteless. It's sort of like, just by looking at it, it's very empty, and you don't want to go back there no more. Like something that you might have previously gravitated to before to satisfy, certain needs of the flesh. After you've been with God for a while, and you begin to go through this process of separation and getting closer to God and separation from the things of the world, there's going to come a time down the road when you're going to look at the things that you used to run to, and it's just you're going to know just by looking at it that it's just not there no more. It just can't do anything for you, and it's going to still take a while for all of that to finish. But you're going to be certain that it's something different about where you came from. This is after God has worked in your heart for a while, so it's worth it as you continue to let God do the work. It's worth it. It's worth it. I'm going to share something with you. I came up in the promises book. I found it here. It says, talking about persecution. It's Matthew 15, Matthew 5, 11 to 12. It said, God blesses you when people mock you and persecute you. That's when God bless you. God blesses you when people mock you and persecute you and lie about you and say all sorts of evil against you because you are my followers. Be happy about it. The Bible said, be happy about it. Be very glad, is what it says. Be very glad, for a great reward awaits you in heaven. And remember, the ancient prophets were persecuted in the same way. You are going to encounter people that's just they just not going to want you to find joy in the Lord. They're not going to want you to be forgiven. And it's demonic. It's demonic. They're going to want you to pay like they feel like they have to pay. And it is they have what's interesting about it is that the people that look at you and don't like you and begin to turn you, turn away from you because of you pursuing your relationship with God, they don't even know anything about you. They don't have a dog in the race, and this is your personal life with God, and they sitting on the outside looking in. They want you to pay and suffer for the things that they think you did or saw you did. They don't want God to forgive you. They want you to pay. And then what's interesting is a lot of those people, they are unrepentant. As they look at you, they're unrepentant. And and they're not even interested in connecting with God. So they get mad at you for connecting with God and don't like you for connecting with God. And they want you to pay, but they allow in their sin, whether it's unforgiveness, whether it's evil thoughts, whether it doesn't matter what it is, cheating, stealing, you know, they are still out there and they mad at you because the Lord is setting you free. So that actually does happen. But thank the Lord that He knows who those people are that need to be purged out of your life. And I'm gonna tell you one thing for certain. Be prepared to be surprised at who don't stay. That's the first thing. The second thing I would tell you is that do not hold it against them. Don't hold it. Do not never hold a grudge. Always love them. Receive them if they come back. Pray for them. I think that's your greatest thing you can do for them and for yourself is to pray for them. And that will just help really begin to put things in perspective for you about who we supposed to be in the first place, right? So all of this is in process of you, God answering your prayer and aiding you and I in getting closer to Him. Now, after you suffered all this, persecution, and you decided to take this road, and that, you saying, I want to get closer to God at all costs. At a certain point, you're gonna be like, I'm out here now. I'm just gonna keep going. I'm whatever come, and there'll be times where you're gonna have to pray for grace. Certain experiences will bother you more than others, but just know that God is doing a work in your life. He does for us in this process that will be things that will be impossible to be done any other way. It has to involve persecution. It has to involve bringing in new people. It has to involve sometimes betrayal. It has to involve pain. It has to involve the idols that you built in the place where you were supposed to be relying on God for those idols to be destroyed. It has to be, you have to go through these things. And it's so worth it. Let me tell you, it's worth it. I'm in a process of kind of going through, and you have to do it more than one time in life. Sometimes you got to go through this process more than one time. Um, so with that said, if you're going to be out here and you're going to make a decision for God, I'm great. Run with God. I'm all in. I'm great. I'm great. Go for it. Right. I will say this: during this time, one of the greatest things you could do is begin to develop a prayer life. Develop a strong prayer life during your persecution, during your separation, during this time when God is drawing you close to Him. Pray, 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 right? One of the things that the Lord is teaching me doing along with praying is that He's telling me to shut up a lot, just keep quiet. And not that I necessarily talk a lot. I can talk long when I do talk, but I don't like talk a lot. I guess I don't think I do. But it's just the Lord want to teach me about being quiet. And I know that's God, because one of the things that I notice is that when I get quiet, is during those times I know that the Lord is ministering to me. And in a lot of ways, I get to peek inside of deep areas that are new that the Lord will reveal to me. And you know what? For some of you who don't, when I believe it'll sound strange until you do it. God will show you the same way He is showing me, if you want to know, right? But when I get quiet, the Lord will allow me to peer into these deeper areas, and I know that I'm able to do that because I'm quiet, and He can show me. It's like He gives me a taste of where He's trying to take me, and it's beautiful. I'm telling you, keeping my mouth shut, which I'm still working on. When I keep my mouth shut and I'm practicing being quiet, I can hear God so clearly. And it seems like things speed up, like the spiritual growth that I want and all that other stuff. It seems like it speeds up. But then I get off, I'm running my mouth again. But I realize what's going on enough to ask God to deliver me, because I really want what it is you have for me, that is waiting for me as a result of being quiet, living a quiet life. So in this time when if you say, for example, I want to get close to God, right? I want to get close to God. And the Lord begin to take you through this process. Begin to pray. Begin to seek His face, right? And I didn't pray at the beginning of this. Lord, I pray that every ear be open to hear and every eye be open to see exactly what the Holy Spirit is trying to say to each and every individual watching this video, in Jesus' name. But that's kind of it. That's kind of coming to the end of my video anyway. I guess I prayed at the end. Is that don't let the world around you and the people that's in it and the things that you might suffer. Because one of the things that the enemy will always do is that if you say to yourself, or you say to the Lord, I'm ready to get closer, I'm ready to have a closer walk with the Lord, immediately the enemy is going to come and begin to show you things that you're going to probably run into as a result of wanting to do that, and try to talk you into staying in your comfort zone. You get the sense, the enemy, how can I put it? I don't know if I would describe it as you get the sense, or if it's just the enemy is coming in. He will come in and begin to show you things that will happen to you, or to try and coax you to just stay in the comfort zone and not want to pursue the things of God. Well, what vested interest does the enemy have in you, not wanting to get closer to God? Why would he even bother me about it and not let me be? Because as you get closer to God, you're going to become more of a danger to the enemy and his plans. It's just the way it works. As you begin to develop a heart for God, you're going to hate evil, and that's where the enemy lurks at. He does his work in darkness and with evil, and you're going to want to see people set free as you get closer to God, and you're going to love peace as you get closer to God. And these are the things that's contrary to the enemy and his plans. So when you decide that, hey, I want to get closer to God, the enemy's going to come in and give you every reason as to why you shouldn't take that pursuit. So I'm here to tell you, listen, it's when you decide, and I hope you do make a firm decision, I want to get closer to God. The enemy's coming, tribulation is coming, challenges is coming, but not to destroy you, and neither will the Lord let it destroy you. As those things come and you begin to see those things peel away and leave your life, and you see things drop off, the Lord's going to be filling you up with something way more precious, way more beautiful, and He's going to open your eyes, and He's going to give you discernment. And then the day is going to come very shortly after you get into that, where you're going to look over at the things that you lost in the process of doing this, and you're not going to even see value in it anymore. You're not going to miss it, because by that time the Lord would have filled you up with Himself and shown you new things and give you deeper things and true things about Him, and you're going to see the things that were taken from you for what they really are. So I hope this blesses you. I want you really to pursue God, man. It's not worth it sitting on the sideline playing it safe because you don't want to go through any persecution. Pursue the things of God. Pursue things of God. And I tell you what, you just watch how he takes you to the next level. Don't worry about who do what. No, just stay. Make God your mainstay. Stay with him. Stay with him. Stay with him. Get that prayer life going. Stay in that word. And I promise you, he's going to show you something so beautiful and so deep and so profound. Uh, you're going. It's going to be priceless. You wouldn't trade it for anything. So take that pursuit, take that leap to want to get closer to God, and watch what He does.